Morning. Today you join me and DeNiro on the Isle of Skye, and we are going to go for a wee explore. So we're going to show you cool people, some of the nice things that we find. Let's get going. How cool is this? That is an old Nuffield tractor which has just been left where it died. Anywhere else it would be taken away and scrapped or used for parts, but here it's just sitting, becoming part of the landscape. I think it's really cool though. I quite like that. That's a nice thing to go and have a look at if you like rusty old tractors, which I appreciate is a pretty niche market. And we have threatened Mabel the camper van, who you will notice has still not been washed, that if she dies she's getting left here as well. For those of you who have watched our Over the Sea to Skye video, it looks a bit different today to how it did then. It's like a different country. It is just blue skies and sunshine. Beautiful. Ooh, and up there on top of that hill is a thing. Now, as you know, we like things, so I think we're going to try and park and find out what that thing is. It's got quite a nice view as well. We'll show you the view once we get up there. DeNiro is just checking the rules for the site, and we're going to walk to this. Don't tell Bex, because we didn't know it was a war memorial when we saw it, so don't tell her. Wait till you guys see the view from up here. It is, again, incredible. So Sniff-a-Lot is still sniffing a lot. I wonder what he's smelling up here. Probably sheep. Here is the intrepid greyhound, still suffering a bit from his epic walk yesterday, but made it to the top of the hill where that thing is. There is the little war memorial, which is very nice, dedicated to the men of the local area who died in the 2 world wars. But look at the view that it's got. I mean, that is just gorgeous. That was worth it. Look at the mountain reflected in the water over there. That's just picture postcard perfect. Oh, now that's interesting. I wonder if there were railways on Skye. I've seen a couple of bridges that look like railway bridges, but that wall there looks a bit over-engineered to support a farm track, which is what it's doing at the moment. So I wonder if that was part of an old railway line. We'll have to go and research that. So we're heading towards Dunvegan and its castle, and we thought we would stop and show you guys this. I mean, look at that. I keep saying the same thing in the same tone of voice. Look at that, that's amazing. But look at that, that's just amazing. I've really got to stop saying, look at that, that's amazing, because you're watching this on your television or on your laptop or on your phone, so obviously you're looking at this, obviously. And I don't know what else to say. Behold the grandeur or something like that. Okay, I'll start saying behold the grandeur and see how you like that. Behold the grandeur of this little inlet, and just as if it couldn't be any more picture postcard perfect, somebody parked their wee red boat right in the middle of it. So that's very pretty, and it just looks so nice. Look at the reflection of the hills in the water and the wee houses over there. This is really, really very, very pretty. Oh, I was going to stop saying pretty, but if you're up here you just can't, because it just is. It's almost like that wee boat has just been put there for effect. We have just stopped in Barkadale because it was recommended by Willie and Sarah as having a really good cafe, and it has got a really good cafe, but it's closed. But this is interesting. I'm sorry it's another war memorial, but it actually lets you do a walk that's round the houses where these people lived, so they're all marked on this little map. That's a really nice touch. We don't have time to do that today, but we will definitely come back and give that a go. This is a lovely wee place. There's some sort of tourist guide thing over here that we're just going to go and have a wee look at. There's evidence of human habitation around here going back 8,000 years, and if you're wondering how I know that, it's because it's written on that thing down there. And there's the village's wee church, which is quite a nice little building. It's always the biggest building in these villages, is always a church. It shows that the importance that these people place in their faith. And if you do find yourself needing extra sunscreen, or more likely better waterproofs, there's a nice little outdoor shop here as well, which is very handy if you forget anything. An interesting thing about this area is Bracadale had a population of 2,000 before the Highland clearances. Though what, I hear you say? I think it's time for a wee bit of history. The Highland clearances happened when landlords figured out they could get more money by grazing sheep than they could in rent from their tenant farmers. Now, these farmers were part of clans that may have farmed this land for centuries, but the landlords didn't care. All they could see was the money. Entire villages were forced from their land, often at gunpoint, and forced to go and live somewhere else, either the cities of central Scotland or overseas, Canada, America, Australia, etc. So we've come round the other side of Loch Bracadale, and that's the view from here. This was used by the Vikings. It's been used for thousands of years as a safe anchorage, so it's still a safe anchorage today. We are now going to go and have a look at Beag Broch. Yay, we found the Broch. There it is, sitting on top of that hill, and there's a sign in case you don't know what it is. Just in case you don't believe me, there's a sign telling you it is Beag Broch. Brochs are uniquely Scottish. They were stone-built roundhouses but with massively thick walls, and there's still a lot of them dotted about because they were absolutely built to last. So we're going to head up here and have a look at Dunvegan and show you what a broch looks like. I asked DeNiro if he fancied a steep walk of 300 metres, and he gave me a look that only greyhounds can give you that implies no is the answer. The poor wee pooch is probably traumatised by yesterday's hike over dales and hills and up valleys and over rocks and through rivers and all the things that greyhounds should not have to put up with. There on top of the hill, past the sheep, is the broch. That is the remains of the tower. As it obviously it's not very high now, it would have been much taller when it was built. All the local clans would have had their own broch as a sort of seat of power, as their base for their operations, and as somewhere nice to live. It would be well sheltered, it's thick walls so it would be warm, and it was a good place. I probably like the view as well. This broch is definitely going to be a place with a view. I will show you some more when I get up there, but I'm rapidly getting out of breath on this climb. Yesterday's walk took it out of me as well. And if you want to see the walk that DeNiro and I did yesterday with Willie and Sarah and Jack Spaniels from Living the Skye Life, then it's on our channel, so you can find it there. It was quite a big long walk. DeNiro was a big brave boy, mostly. I say mostly. The reason there's so many brochs left about is they were a clan's seat of power, so every clan would have a broch to impress the other clans. They're also very defensible, they're usually in high locations, and it was a very successful design because, well, if it ain't broch, don't fix it. It would be interesting to look at the stats for our videos and see how many people unsubscribe after the really bad jokes. And I suppose also to find how many people are just here for the really bad jokes. We are not yet finding an obvious way up there, but we're going to try and go up this slope without falling over. I'm glad that DeNiro is back in the van because he would not like walking over all these rocks. And if you can excuse the fact that I'm a bit out of puff, here we are inside the broch. You can see how impressive the wall was, little rooms off to the side. It's really cool. I will shut up now and let you have a look around. And obviously back when it was in use it would have been much taller, and there's still signs that it was a much taller structure once, because round there there's a flight of stairs which are taking you up to the second floor. Let's go up to the second floor without falling off the side of the broch. There we go. So there is the ring of the broch from the top, and you can see all the little cutouts. It would have been rooms and stores and things like that. The animals would probably have lived inside the broch with the people. But if you do come up here and the weather is nice, don't spend so long looking into the broch that you forget to look at that. There you are. I'm sorry, it's just another view of Skye. You're probably getting bored with this now, but it's pretty much what we've got up here is views. Millions and millions of absolutely gorgeous views. And over here on the other side of the broch you get a better idea of the sort of double skinned way it was built. There's an outer tower and an inner tower with a passageway in the middle that would have let people obviously move about. It would have been dark and smoky with low ceilings, but it would have been better than being outside in a Skye winter. You do get an idea of how much taller this would have been when you see the amount of stone that is lying on the ground that has fallen down. And a lot of the houses around here are probably built from stone that was quarried from this broch back in the 18th century. That is Beag Broch. Very, very impressive it is too. This is one of the best examples of a broch that I've seen. There is one in Shetland and one in Orkney that are equally as cool, but this is the best one that I've seen anywhere else. And the people must have been quite a bit shorter, because that's not a very big door at all. If you can't really imagine that as a large and impressive tower, here is a sign that is on site, so I will take a picture of this for you. That's what it would have looked like, with several floors and corridors inside the walls. And as I've just shown you the sign, if I now say this was in use about 2,000 years ago, you'll know that I read it there, and I'm not an expert on brochs. This must have been built here just as a statement of power. I mean, obviously it's in a very exposed location, but people for miles around would be able to see it. I mean, it would totally dominate the skyline and show you who was in charge, who was the chieftain around these parts. Yeah, this is not really terrain that would be ideally suited to the greyhound with its long and spindly legs, but he's down there in Mabel, and that is where I am now heading back to go further up this road towards Dunvegan. Oh, go on then, one more last wee look. I would call it pretty, but I think I've done enough of that for one video. In fact, you know how some YouTube people who know what they're doing, which obviously isn't us, will beep out their swear words? I think I should just start beeping out every time I say pretty, because you'll be getting bored with it pretty quickly. I mean, very quickly. Doing this sort of thing in February is a bit of a gamble with the weather, to be fair. Actually, it's quite a lot of a gamble with the weather. But if you look around you, I've got this whole place to myself. there is not another living soul in sight, and in the summer it will be quite busy because this is a very, very well known and very popular little broch. When we were out yesterday with Willie and Sarah, they were talking about the inn pin, and obviously we just nodded and pretended we knew what they were on about. It turns out over there in the Cullens there's a peak called the Inaccessible Pinnacle, or the inn pin, and it is a real challenge. It's one of the toughest mountain climbs in Scotland. There's not even much traffic to speak of. I think a few cars have gone past while I was up there, but not very many at all. So it's a very peaceful and a very tranquil place. I really like it. When you think about how last time we were going to do all this and the weather was just horrendous, and that was only a few weeks ago, and next week it might be horrendous again. Right, we've now come a bit further up the road and we are at Dunvegan, where we're going to stop and have a wee explore. And one of the things that we found first is this really pretty little... Oh, I wasn't going to say pretty, was I? This really nice little church, right? My mission is to try and get through Dunvegan without using the word pretty, okay? Think I can do it? Because I really think I probably can't. We are at Dunvegan Castle. Now, I'm not going to do our usual we got here, it was closed, we had no idea, ha 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 thing, because we actually checked and we know this is closed, but we thought you might be able to get a look at the castle from outside, but you can't. So there are the gates of Dunvegan Castle, and that is as close as we are getting. So we are now going to head back into Dunvegan and find a cup of coffee and a wee cake, maybe. So over there is a picture of what it looks like, and there's me. Hello! So we're heading back into the village from the castle, and we saw the sign that said Dunvegan Pier, so we've popped down here for a visit, and as you can see it's very quite nice. It's really extremely quite nice. This is a very quite nice place. And here's a really boring fact about me: I cannot see one of those radio link things without trying to figure out where the other end is. It comes from doing this job for far too long. I think the guest house and visitor centre could possibly do with a bit of work. As you can see from all the bits and pieces lying about, this is a proper working harbour as well. There's some lobster pots and there's some fishing boats out there, so there is actually still a proper working, living, breathing harbour, which is always nice to see. That is the view from the pier at Dunvegan. There is Mabel sitting looking somewhat precarious. I hope she's okay, and there's the view back up towards the village where we are heading now. This is another not very interesting thing, but you always think lobster pots look like that. That's how they've looked for like centuries. You never think there's a modern lobster pot, but over here there are some nice shiny brand new looking lobster pots, so they do still make them. There's still a lobster pot making industry somewhere. Oh, and that little boat there just getting caught in the sun is very photogenic. I think that's very photogenic, don't you? Okay, it's another war memorial, but that's not why we stopped here. We stopped here because look at that standing stone up on top of that hill. That is very impressive. So this is the giant Angus MacAskill Museum. I have no idea who he was. It's closed, but yeah, giant Angus MacAskill. There's a lot of nice looking eateries in Dunvegan, some of which actually appear to be open, so we're going to go and find one for a cup of coffee and a cake. Oh, look at that, that's a very picturesque wee house, isn't it? DeNiro and I decided to head into a wee place called Blas Cafe, and they had a big sign in the window that said dogs welcome, and if dogs are welcome then they're going to love DeNiro. The nice lady in here brought DeNiro a biscuit, and now he's looking to see if there's any more. But eventually he gives up and lies down, thankfully. But he's still watching and listening for the sound of biscuits. Okay, I said cake, but they had mince and tatties on the menu, so this will be my lunch and my tea and a nice cup of coffee. That's what you call making yourself at home, in the middle of the floor. Well, that is the Blas Cafe in Dunvegan, and they do an awesome mince and tatties. NMM of M, no idea, but it was built in 1904. Right, and now just because we like things that are free, we are going to go and try and rescue that fishing float so we can take it back to Fife and hang it up on our fence beside our other ones. We like souvenirs that are of a place that you remember collecting it, but they don't actually cost you any money at all. So let's see how this goes. And if it goes wrong, I'm going to skite down here on my bottom. All this for a scabby old stinky fishing float, eh? This was much easier before I met you guys, and I would not have to try and film this in a previous life. Quite a lot of rubbish in this little corner. It all gets washed in here, obviously, but there is the fishing float that we are now going to have. Whoop whoop, that is treasure and it is coming home with us. It'll probably stink a bit and I'm sure DeNiro will be very interested in it. This little car behind me, the guy in it just gave me the strangest look. I must look like such an obvious tourist. Why is that man collecting rubbish from the beach? One man's rubbish, another man's treasure. And I'm not sure this is actually treasure. So there you go, we are now leaving Dunvegan and I managed to avoid using the P word. I'm sure I managed to avoid using the P word. Absolutely sure. Well, pretty sure. Look at this mighty and majestic animal from the local scenery. Hello Mr. Sheep, you're wondering why I've stopped, but you don't appear to be running away, which is unusual for a sheep. The sheep up here must be very, very tough. Right, so we are going to the right, which seems to be where everything is. The gift and craft fair, the backrest, the Greyhound tea room, etc, etc. It looks like this is the way to go. This is the tourist route to somewhere that we don't know where we're going. Well, I say we. DeNiro has pretty much gone on strike. I think he's still suffering from his epic walk yesterday. Now, I remember several years ago working up in Skye and some colleagues said they'd found this old building and would I go and look at it to see what it was, and it turned out to be a broch. And all I remember about it was at the side of the road and you drove past it and you had to really look to see that it was there at all. Now, I don't believe this, and I promise you this is by pure chance. I'm pretty sure that the thing that we found all those years ago is up there. Unlike the broch that you saw earlier, this one is not signposted. It's just a thing in the corner of a field. If you don't know it's there, you drive right past it. And I didn't know it was there, and I was going to drive right past it. To be fair, the reason it's not very touristy is it is a little bit muddy, so I'm probably going to get covered in crud trying to get across here. You know, I think that's it. I think that is another broch. Let's go up the top and we'll find out for sure when we get to the top of this pile of stone. But it is a broch. We are standing in the remains of another broch, one that is not on the tourist trail, but is still absolutely awesome. That is your bonus broch on today's video, one that I did not know for sure was here. The farmer has just gone past it along the road down there in his Land Rover and honked at me, and I thought, oh god, do I panic, do I hide, or do I wave? So being me, I waved, and thankfully he waved back. He's not coming after me with his shotgun shouting, get off my broch. Over here I think there's a big hole. Shall we go down there for a wee look, shall we? The answer to that question is yes. Right, so if you weren't sure about this being a broch, there is the inner wall, there is the outer wall, and there is a flight of stairs that would have gone up above my head to the upper levels. And once again, like the broch that we saw previously, it is built to completely dominate the landscape, because look at the views you get down there. That is Dunvegan over there, which is very nice, and there is the view up the glen, so anybody coming from miles around would have seen this thing and known who was in charge. And this broch gives you an even clearer impression of how big it would have been, because look at all that stone down there. That would have all been sitting in a big pile and somebody would have been living under it. Yeah, so there you are. I first came here 30 years ago and it is still here. Mind you, it has been here for like 2,000 years before I got here, so I think it'll still be here in another 2,000. I've said it before, I'm going to say it again, this island is just incredible. I worked here quite a lot a good few years ago and never really took it all in, but now that I'm back looking through the camera eye for you guys, I'm really seeing things that I've never ever seen before. This is just perfect. If you head out of Dunvegan and what I'm going to call the top road, which you'll know why if you've ever come here, towards Portree, there's a little thing worth seeing at the side of the road. This is the Two Churches Walk, and I can definitely see one of them over there. So we're going to take a wee walk up to that little graveyard and have a look. And up on top of that hill there is that standing stone that we saw earlier, so I don't know if we'll make it that far today because we have got to get back to the mainland, but it's certainly worth a shot. That sign back there says if you want to do the little walk around the loop it takes you 45 minutes, and unfortunately we don't have 45 minutes today, but one day we'll be back here for a much longer break and we'll bring Bex, so we'll have some more sensible conversation and probably fewer war memorials. Right, so that stone up on top of the hill there is actually the Durnish stone. It was found on the beach at Skye. It weighs 5 tonnes, it's 5 metres tall, and it was raised there using traditional methods, so no machinery. It was one of those things that people did to prove that it wasn't aliens that put stones up like there. Men could do it on their own, with their own might and their own ingenuity. Sorry, it is another churchyard, but I think you'll agree this one is worth a wee visit. I mean, anywhere with its own pyramid has got to be worth a wee visit, hasn't it? That is really cool. And again, the weather is being nice to us. Everything is being shown off in its best light, literally. That tablet was put there to commemorate the fact there are 10 generations of the McCrinnan clan interred in this cemetery. 10 generations, that's a lot of roots in one wee place. Look at all the memorials and the monuments that are sort of set into the old walls of the church. That's really quite impressive. And the way the sun is catching that one down the end there. Flora, the chief of the Clan MacLeods, and there is Hold Fast, which is their motto. And this little memorial is to another chief. I think that says 22nd Chief, old Norman MacLeod, who's the 22nd Chief of the clan. This is really cool. So much family history. If you're a MacLeod, this must make you very proud. A bit of relief carving on that thing as well. That's again very impressive, very nicely done. I mean, look at the detail on the wee lion's head, and the little bull up there has lost his horns, which is to be expected, but that's still an incredibly nice piece of I'm guessing marble. Yeah, I'm thinking marble because these bits in here are white, the rest of it is just browned with age, but that's a very intricate carving on that piece of marble there. That's really impressive. We like that an awful lot. Well, this is quite poignant, isn't it? This is the grave of Marion Mackay, and 6 years after she died in 1853, her husband and their 6 children immigrated to Australia, where they still have many descendants, apparently. So hello to them if they're ever watching. That is the graveyard of the MacLeods, their ancestral seat, and this is where generations and generations of that family are buried. There's sacred to the memory of Donald McCaskill. Why was he allowed to get buried in here? Because obviously he was married to a MacLeod. Although there are some very elaborate gravestones in this cemetery, this is probably our favourite. DG, no idea. MM, memento mori. Remember you are going to die, so live your life as well as you can. We're going to have to educate ourselves on the iconography of these old headstones, because there's crossbones, right, fair enough. Cross spades, possibly, or cross, I don't know, cross somethings. And then, whatever that is, an hourglass. And do something else. And then some skulls, and then the name at the top, and some sort of portcullis in the middle, maybe. And on the one right next to it, again we've got the skull and crossbones and what we think must be an hourglass, because it looks like an hourglass on the other one, and those other 2 things there that we don't know what they are. We need to do some serious research. It has, as you can see, got an inscription all the way around the edges, but I can't read it. I don't know what it says. There is the pyramid. It's quite impressive, that. I mean, that is well worth stopping for. We like that. Again, as we say a lot, we like that a lot. And you can use the phrase tripped over something sort of figuratively, but literally we just tripped over this, which is a tiny little stone, maybe about 60 centimetres by 40 centimetres with crossbones on it. So no idea again what that is, but very nice. And now onwards towards Portree, although I cannot promise that we will not be stopping a couple more times on the way. We are on perhaps the most photographed bridge on the whole Isle of Skye. DeNiro is crossing the bridge like an intrepid explorer, and I realise that means you can't actually see the bridge, so we're now going to go and get a look at the bridge from down beside the river. Oh, and one more thing, having had a ping on the phone. If you're the person who has bought DeNiro a biscuit via our Ko-fi link in our profile, then thank you so much. You've made a happy greyhound even happier, so thank you. It's just amazing. I am absolutely gobsmacked. Thank you so much. DeNiro will love his biscuit. Gee, so how's that for a place to live, eh? That's not a bad house, that, and the views are quite spectacular. There we have Mr. Honor DeNiro, retired racing dog, and the most photographed bridge on Skye, perhaps. It's certainly very popular with the tourists, and when it's busy there's loads of people standing there taking photos. Today it's not busy, so it's just us and that gentleman over there. Yeah, we were speaking to that gentleman over there because he's driving a van like ours, and the barrier to get into the car park is all dunted. I'm sorry, all what? And I'm never brave enough to actually come in, but I saw that he'd got in, so I thought if he can fit in, I can fit in, and we did. So there's one last look at the wee bridge, and there's its poor sibling over there that's like, I'm a nice bridge too, somebody please look at me. But no, nobody looks at that bridge, everybody just looks at that bridge. The statue up there is of 2 gentlemen called Colley and Mackenzie, who did more to popularise the Cullens as a climbing destination than anybody else. Sort of late 1800s, they were the first people to come here and really start to open it up, and then lots of tourists came. people would come here to go fishing and end up going mountaineering, which is the opposite of fishing, I would think. And if you're wondering what they are looking at so fixedly, it is that big mountain over there, which is quite impressive. And beside the big mountain over there are the even bigger mountains over there, which I would not fancy trying to climb. I would probably fall off. So the two friends are buried side by side on the other side of the island, but within sight of the mountains, and the statues are standing there for all eternity, staring up at the peaks that they both loved so much. Right, we're about to leave Skye via the Skye Bridge, which is obviously the best bridge to use to get off Skye. But I've decided to stop and do one more panorama for you good people, because this is quite impressive. We haven't really seen this because we're usually heading the other way or it's dark, but wait until you get a wee look at this. It's the Coolin Mountains, and if you go around over there, it's just amazing. Look at the light on those hills. That is really, really something else, and that is a great way to say goodbye to Skye. Okay, I know I said we were going to head straight for home now and not stop again, but I felt like I had to share this with you. Look at those mountains. How amazing is that? So as DeNiro and I get ready to leave Skye, I'd just like to do the usual thank you very much for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please like and share and all that gubbins, and we'll see you again soon for more Scotland on a shoestring. Thank you so much for watching, and again thank you to whoever just bought DeNiro a biscuit on coffee. We really, really appreciate that. You've got no idea. Artistic use of the shadow in the composition of the shot.